Hello everyone. In this video I'm showing my infrared camera with invisible light for aerodrums. So the camera will come to you in this box, in this package. It will be wrapped in a bubble film. Inside the box you will see the camera itself and a power adapter. This is a 12 volts, 220 to 12 volts AC DC adapter. This adapter is needed to fit the LED lamp inside the camera. Okay, so it has a Euro plug. If you need other plug, please advise me accordingly. So let us put the plug in. And now let's see the camera more precisely. So I usually print enclosures in different colors. Sometimes it's yellow, red. This one is brown. So one important thing is that this side with a hole on the center is a bottom side. So you should put it on the table like this, right? You can mount it on a 1/4 inch standard photo stand if you like. There is on the back side there is also a power supply. Power supply plug. So when you plug it into your camera, you see the LED lamp now flashes this light. This is a far infrared light and it is not visible for human eye. This is visible only for electronic devices like cameras, smartphones, etc. So the far infrared light is the same light that you use in your remote controls. Usually you don't see them at all. So let's plug the camera and see how it performs. One notice is that you can plug the USB into USB 2 or USB 3 port. It doesn't matter actually. It performs well on both variants of ports. So alright. As I previously mentioned, you can use a photo stand, right? But in my instance, I'm playing just put it on the table on the bottom side, on the back side of the table, and that's enough for me. For instance, maybe in your case, maybe you will need to adjust the height of the camera by using a photo stand. Okay, now the camera is plugged in. It is working. Let us watch my screen. So that was convenient for you. Because this camera uses different lens optics and because this camera has a narrow bandpass light filter which filters all visible light and all near infrared light. So because of this the camera needs a little bit tweak in aerodrums configuration file. You can find this configuration file on your Windows machine in folder C, program files x86, aerodrums, conf, aerodrums.cfg file. You can open it with notepad. On Macintosh it is a different path. So on Macintosh PC on Macintosh PC you can find the drums configuration file by right-clicking on the aerodrums app and selecting Show Package Contents, then navigating to the folder Contents Resources Conf. So far that you have opened the aerodrums.cfg file, before launching the application please edit the exposure mocap value and set it to 223. So a brief explanation is that when you use infrared camera, it has a built-in light filter. That light filter filters about everything except a very narrow path of light. And because of this, the camera collects less light comparing with the original camera. And to compensate the factor that the camera collects less light, we would increase exposure mocap parameter here. So just remember that you need to increase this parameter. The default value is 73 if you're using regular camera, default camera with aerodrums. Please know that you will need to return this parameter back to 73. Okay, so once we have changed the exposure mocap value, we can now let me show you what the camera actually sees and how the aerodrums works if you don't know yet. So this black and white is a picture coming directly from PlayStation camera, from infrared aerodrums camera, right? So as you see on the right side of the screen, there is a regular web camera, the same as the original aerodrums camera. So the difference is that modified camera does not capture any visible light. It captures only light, only far infrared light. The lamp is installed inside the infrared camera, and when you plug in or plug off the adapter, it actually switches on or switches off. When you pick up your sticks, just regular aerodrum sticks for playing, the markers on the side of the sticks are becoming very bright for infrared camera. This is because the light is being emitted from the LED lamp inside the camera, reflected from these balls, and then comes back into the camera lens. So aerodrum software works this way. It analyzes the movement of very bright objects inside of its view and then plays the sound depending on where you hit or what movement have you made, right? So the advantage of infrared camera is that it filters all visible light, and if you have illumination in your house or in your home, very bright illumination, it doesn't matter actually for this camera, it filters it completely. For instance, I can switch off the camera LED power supply, and this is what we see. It actually sees nothing, just very dim objects of illuminations here, nothing more. With this camera you can play in the outside if there is a cloudy weather, or if you are playing somewhere in the shadow of the light. So avoid situations when the light comes, when the dark sunlight comes into the camera, or when the dark sunlight is reflected into the camera from the mirror glasses. Alright, so we have seen why aerodrums infrared camera is more robust for everyday play, why it is filtering background light, why it is better filtering background light. Now let's watch how it performs with the original aerodrum software. As you already know, I have edited my aerodrums configuration file and set exposure mockup to 223 value. With this in mind, I am launching aerodrums. One important thing is that you should create a copy of your favorite drum kit before you start playing this camera, because you will have to reposition all drums once again. So if you would like to play sometimes with the original aerodrums camera, or some more often with infrared, or just compare how the two perform in your environment, you need two different drum kits, one for aerodrums infrared camera, one for aerodrums original camera. So in my instance, my favorite drum kit is a big rock kit, so I will just clone it, rename it somehow. Okay, and we'll use this copy of big rock kit for my play. So let's go through the setup. Basically it needs the same conditions, so when you sit on the chair you will have to resemble the person on the screen. This might not be exactly, but something around. Alright, so here we are. This is the drummer screen. Let me put my markers, please. And let us play now. So, in the first session I will reposition all the drums through the menu setup. Menu, drum kit, adjust drums, place one drum. You don't need to do this every time you start playing, but for the first session you have to do this. So I would also recommend you to check your latency setting by making a drumstick sound and at the same time hitting the virtual drum. In my instance there is a latency problem, so I will now check it. So just to make sure you have the lowest possible latency, please always choose Audio driver. This might be Audio for all for built-in Realtek sound chips, or this might be your Audio driver of manufacturer of your audio card. Like in my instance, it's Focusrite USB Audio drivers. Always use 64 samples or lower audio buffer, and also always check the same settings are set in Audio driver setting tab. So in my instance 64 samples buffer in aerodrums matches 64 samples buffer size in Scarlett. Solo ambient test, there's no glitches. Alright, so I can now play safely, and I know that the latency is below 10 milliseconds now. So everything is fine. You can play aerodrums infrared camera without any problems, without any glitches. See you.